Check, check, check. Looks like we're on. Okay. Welcome to Evidence-Based Audio number 156. I'm calling this one, It Takes Pedals Well. And first of all, you guys thought you'd never see this. So for you just listening on the podcast or whatever, I'm holding up a MacBook Pro. Now, this thing was allegedly Pro, but I had for what it costs, which is about the same as for a massively powerful gaming computer with a giant hard drive, a separate SSD drive for the OS and stuff, and a whole lot of RAM, and a giant 17-inch screen, and all the ports in the world. You get this tiny little thing. No video card. Oh, you Apple faithful, you're going to scream, but it's got a video card. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a monitor. Yeah, but it doesn't run anything. So call it a video card, just like you can call a Betamax a movie, I guess. But if you don't have a beta machine to stick that thing in, good luck. And also 2 little ports. That's all you get. All you get. So you guys that are paranoid about hubs and stuff, woohoo! This is actually the second one. I had to take the first one back because though it said Pro, had like a 256 gig drive and 8 gigs of RAM in 2022. So now I have this thing and I've been using it for a little while. I like the gestures, like all the 2-finger stuff and all that. So I learned how to use that because these things don't have a right mouse button, which is ridiculous in this day and age, I think. But, you know, I think the Apple guys are okay without it. So I tried to learn it their way. Seemed pretty nice. And I was thinking, man, this would be really cool if they did this on my Windows laptop. Well, it does. It's just a software thing. It's not a big deal to put that. So I found out by just trying it that my MSI Windows machine did the exact same thing. Plus it has a right mouse button, so I don't know. But I'm trying to learn how to do things Apple way. And what do I like about it? The battery lasts forever. I mean, on my gaming machine, even if you weren't playing a game, you're lucky if you got 30 minutes. You know, that's it. Forget it. You're done. This thing, it'd go for days without plugging it in. I know I'm not putting it through much high performance anything, but I mean, it's still very impressive. Battery life. What else? Oh, I really like the way it's all integrated with your phone and everything. I can use this for text messaging. I don't know if you can do that on a Windows machine. I don't think so. But with my iPhone, they just talk to each other, and it's really cool. That works really, really, really well. Installing things is about as bad as I had always thought. Maybe it's even worse now under Monterey. It's just a nightmare. I mean, you get so paranoid and it's just hard to... You think you're doing something and then you check back and you hadn't copied the thing. The cartoony stuff is actually, to me, it's counterintuitive, but maybe it's not to new computer users, but the pointing the download at the installer or whatever, like I just want to double click it and install it. Won't it go where it's supposed to go, where the manufacturer wanted to go, unless you want to ask me, which is fine. But that little arrow thing, I don't know what the hell that is, but I think maybe if you're just starting on a computer, that makes way more sense. I don't know. But Mac guys, rest assured that I am testing on your device at the latest OS. So when we're talking about compatibility with your iOS products, I don't have to just ask Dave to go run it or Phil or one of the guys. I can run it now. So if you have a problem with your Mac stuff, let me know and I'll, now I can run it. So even if I need a repro or something, I guess I'll get oh my God, listen to me. I'm holding up a MacBook Pro and then now I'm talking about, I'm going to get Logic so that I can open your Logic projects. No, I'm not. Don't make me do that. Dave can still open your Logic projects. Okay. But I will promise I will try out GarageBand. I promise. Okay, next thing. Okay, so here's a post by Slayer Bear over at the Gear page. Slayer Bear 17. Now, this guy's always worth a read. I think that we've argued in the past, and of course, therefore, he'd be wrong. But I always want to get his take on things. So he's got a thread titled, How Long Has It Taken to Learn Your Interface? My Motu 828 ES Journey. And so he says, talking about your interface, not Cubase or Reaper, etc., etc. Was it easy? Was it hard? You a pro or still learning? I've had my Motu 828 ES for about a year now, and I'm still learning new things every day. Good thing I don't do this for a living. The one common denominator I hear is how much of a steep learning curve it is, no help from the manual at all. Yes. And manual explanations aren't clear. Yep. I think I may have also discovered a bug, but more on that later. This is going to be a long read. I don't know if I should break this up right now or just keep going. Let me just read the whole thing. It's not, nobody's going to die. Okay, so really, I just want to get this microphone out of the way. But, okay. Nobody needs to see my stupid face, right? Jeez. Vote for Pedro. No, that's worse. See, now that I'm wearing glasses, I can't tell what I'm doing. Sorry, guys. Okay. So the Motu 828 ES has templates and routing all ready to go. If you don't know what a Motu 828 ES is, let me get you this. We're talking about interfaces, like the title said, in case I didn't read that correctly. So I'm just going to pull this up on B&H. So this is an interface with, what's on the back of it? I want to see the back of it, please. 28 inputs, 32 outputs. I don't know what that means. You guys all know that could mean anything, right? But, probably has, packed with Sabre 32 Ultra digital audio converters. It boasts a dynamic range of something. Okay, here we go. Comprehensive ADAT. 16 channels of ADAT, dual quarter-inch combo jacks. I guess that means there's some mic preamps on here. Thunderbolt or USB 2 or 3. It's got a mixer on here. And this is what I think he's really talking about, is that these things have some of them have insane DSP mixers. And you would hope that no matter what, that your input went right to your DAW input that you were probably going to assign it to. But, I think, man, if I really think about it, is it possible to keep my RME from doing that? It is if I put talk back on at least, or loop back on at least. So anyway, I think that he's talking about the complexity of these digital mixers and stuff that are on these things. So let me keep going. So the Motu 828 ES has templates and routing all ready to go. You just choose which one. For the longest time, I was using the wrong one. The wording threw me off. Even when I had a buddy over, he was like, let's try this one, despite it seeming not to be the right one. It turns out it was the right now. I think it turns out it was the right one. And maybe it should have been more on me to experiment. No, it really shouldn't. I mean, it's great that you experiment, but it's not your fault. I guess my expectations of audio interface were different from live recording with monitoring templates. Yeah. Just to stop right here. One more reason why I always say I would rather listen through the DAW. I'm not going to have to deal with any of these mixing things. I'm going to try and bypass them as much as possible. None of this direct monitoring, no weird paths. And there are, I'm fine, always willing to admit there's reasons for using that direct monitoring, but for the most part, we're going to get rid of 99% of these problems, maybe even more. Okay, so and it's not clear to me that Slayer Bear, if he just wants to use it for recording or if he really wants to use it for mixing stuff, or a combination where he's actually using the direct monitoring and all that stuff. I don't know why I keep looking at that stupid screen right there. Okay, sorry. Up until this point, I was doing basic rough recordings using my TalkBack on my Mackie mixer. Figured out how to use aux mixes via tablet, which was so cool. I do drums and vocals in another room, so that came in super duper handy. Yes. Drummers and vocalists can grab any mix they want via wireless device using the IP address on a browser. I went as so far as to put a monitor in the drum room so I could also have full control of recording from the drum room, which is about 25 feet away. And this is where this stuff is just so wonderful. This technology lets you just do amazing stuff that by yourself. You know, I know it's sad because we're diminishing the workforce, but you know, we'll have to deal with that. But not having barriers, just, you know, I hear these drummers all the time. You know, when Reaper first got its web control thing, drummers were telling me, man, I get to sit at my drum set and start recording and stop recording with my phone. And that was such a big deal to them. And, well, that's great. And this is a million years beyond that now. I mean, look at this. This is awesome. You control everything. Okay. Just discovered reverb on this baby. So some of these things have their own DSP, you know. Seems idiotic. It took me so long, but previously I was always using Cubase for outboard gear. I'm still trying to figure out how to get those wet signals to Cubase recorded. Right now it's still dry when it gets recorded, but that's okay, as I can add it later. Compression and gate might come in handy though with drums. It should save me some time in Cubase. I'm not going to take anything away from this guy, but you know me, I'd be terrified to commit that stuff to tape, right? In fact, I know this company, what's it called? AIX DSP, that makes the ultimate gate. So there's that. Now back to that bug I mentioned. Happened about 5 times now, but I seem to know how to replicate it. It seemed every time I tried to get the talkback to work previously, clicking on certain squares to route to cause the interface confusion, a break in communication with the computer, and get this, a full volume, 0 dB, I assume 0 dBFS. So when it did connect back, did I ever taco my pants? It only seemed to happen when I try and mess around with the talkback and routing matrix. I have about 2 to 3 seconds before it blows at full volume. 3 times out of 5 it went full tilt. Surprised I didn't blow my speakers. The other 2 times I got to the power switch in time. And if you guys know anything, like when you're reconnecting a clock or whatever, it's like that. Full scale blast. So make sure those speakers are off. I haven't been on any forums or opened up a line with Motu yet, but I will. Overall, I love this baby. The manual is hopeless, steep learning curve, but the features and options are unbelievable. I've gotten to a point now that I can make changes and get myself out of trouble if something goes wrong. Save those changes, man. Oh, is there anything you don't like about your interface that take you a long time to learn? Is it intuitive? Okay, first of all, Slayer Bear, get on the phone with Motu. I was blown away that these guys will take the time to talk to you no matter who you are. They don't know my number. And I think by today, nobody even cares who I am anymore. Motu is just awesome about this. And you know, I think you guys all know how I feel about Motu and RME. Those are the two that really, if you're really going to spend the money, those are the two. And like Jim Roseberry says, Motu's USB drivers are not really, they're not what you would expect from Motu. Let me put it that way. If you are going to go USB, I would go RME. I'm using the RME HDSP USB. Is that what it's called? RME Digiface USB. That's what I'm doing. And that's USB, obviously. And I'm doing 32 channels on that, no problem. But, you know, until maybe months ago, not even a year ago, one of my rooms was still running 2 Motu 2408 Mark IIs from the 90s. That's how good that stuff is. And there's really nothing faster today. I know the PreSonus Quantum or whatever is supposed to have a lower round trip latency. I'm not sure that you could really compare the two, but maybe. So I think on Thunderbolt, it's supposed to be real good on the Motu. I don't know. Now that I got this Mac, I'll try some. That's it. I got to try some Thunderbolt interfaces. Okay, so we'll get to that. Anyway, this wasn't a commercial for Motu or RME. I want Slayer Bear to know that Motu is great to talk to, and they would probably like to hear this. I agree with the manuals and stuff. I'm confused. I think some of the knockdown drag-outs that I got into with Matthias from RME back in the day, you know, were kind of legendary in the forums, right? And it was just us not understanding each other, I think, and me not counting to 10 before I get mad. But I'll show you, in fact, right now. Let's see. Pop up pop-up total mix right here. So this is what controls the Digiface USB. And you'll see that I'm actually doing some stuff with this. In general, I don't want a live mix. I'm not here to mix anything. But because of all the streaming and stuff, I do have to do some things. One of this is a loop back right here, 3132. I send all the Windows junk, anything that doesn't have an ASIO driver, goes out 31 and 32. Or actually, I just send them all to OBS. And then for OBS goes out 31 to 32. And then that's the input that Restream over here listens to. And so that's how I get this audio onto the web. But aside from that, I'm just sending 1-to-1, 2-to-2, not doing anything to it, even though there is DSP. I'm not sure. I think this particular model doesn't have all that much DSP, but there's something. There's faders and junk. I am also using it for this speaker control, talkbacks. But it can be very confusing. And also, like all these settings and junk. I mean, I don't know what any of this means. You know, like it's really. I mean, and some of it makes sense, but there was like, let me see. So talkback one, you know, I tried to read the manual. So this manual is humongous, but you know, so I understand what Slayer Bear is saying. It's the price of power though. And I think RME handles this a lot better. Every single RME interface, the total mix is pretty much the same. It might have more channels and more effects or whatever. Motu, man, so many of these things are different. The mixers and stuff. You know, what was the last one? I have the 896 Mark III. I think it's over at my cousin's house right now. And that thing actually had loopback. And I would have never known. You know, it's crazy. But I can't say anything to people not making manuals because guess what? We got exactly one manual in our company. And I didn't really finish it well. Scott Veenstra really did a lot on it. But I need manuals on everything. And I'm not even making videos on how... let's hold me to it. We'll make more videos on how to use this stuff. But anyway, yeah, this stuff is complicated. And this is why forums exist. And it sucks that Google is absolutely worthless at this point for getting any sort of information about things like this, like working on your interface or really understanding the insides of it. It sucks. But this forum... RME's forum is real good if you got an RME, but the Reaper forum has so many experts on hardware, whether you use Reaper or not. The Reaper forum is really, I would say at this point, also because Jim Roseberry is there all the time. The Reaper forum is probably your best bet to get information about this stuff because it is difficult. The gear page looks pretty good. I've been hanging out on the gear page a lot more nowadays, and I like this place. You know, we could go to Safe Space, but I don't know. There's too many knuckleheads over there. There's just too much magic-based thinking over there for me. So I like this better, actually. I know there's more experts over there, but a lot of these experts are hardcore Dunning-Krugers at the same time, and it's just pain. You know, there's one of them over here, but I just put them on ignore, so it doesn't matter. I don't usually do that, but it takes a special type of person to refuse objective evidence is. Anyways, let me just shut up about that. So anyhow, get a hold of us wherever, and I think I could help with this. But go to the gear page, go to the Reaper forum. Okay. So this one. So here's another post over at the gear page, actually. Before I start here, note that I need to note that I am not looking for soundproofing of my basement. Drums are loud. I live in a house, and it's just fine that way. I am, however, wondering if there's an easy-ish way to make it sound a little better in the basement. Please note, this is also a storage area, and we need to be able to access most of this stuff from time to time. Here's a couple of pics. If you guys can't see, this is a... see, there's no ceiling. There's just rafters, you know, or whatever you call those beams that go across. It doesn't look too high, but I might be being fooled by perspective here. Small place. It's bound by concrete. And it's pretty small. Like it'd be adding 3 inches on either side for acoustics is a little tricky, but I think it can be done. And then there's like a storage space above there where they kind of cubby hole in a bunch of stuff. But I think that's actually probably helping. He says it's pretty live in there, just a lot of reflections off the concrete and stuff. Is there any way to tame that a bit? Again, not looking to soundproof, was thinking more along the lines of hanging up some of those grommeted heavy blankets on curtain sliders that I could attach to the ceiling joists. Would have the added bonus of covering up some or all of the stuff. And so, you know, we're looking at like plaster or brick or something that's right around the drums. Like, I mean, hardcore. He's asking about those blankets. I think some of you guys saw some videos where we're testing those things out. Those packing blankets, those $20 packing blankets, they're amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. I suppose if you could move them far enough away from a wall and you got enough of them, you could do some serious low end stuff with them as well. But they cover a very wide band, and they just make a room sound so much better so quickly. It's just mind blowing. So, I mean, at the very least, go stick those blankets up. If it were me, I would stick some Roxel Safe and Sound to the concrete walls if I had the space. But it's really hard. That's tight space. But put that down, then put those blankets on top of it somehow. That's exactly, actually, if you look, I'm not sure if you can see, but that's how my room is. It's packing blankets over Roxel 3-inch Safe and Sound. And this isn't the ideal room, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. And I have a sub in here, and it makes intelligible sounds. So, you know, pretty good, I think. Let's see. The other thing I think I would do is these rafters are just asking for, I mean, if he's going to be there for a long time, just put fiberglass in those rafters and cap them. You could put acoustic tile up there. I'm a little worried that anything hard that you put up there is just going to make the reflections worse and probably start making you, like, what do you call that? The flutter echo. I think that I would try and cover the ceiling with something soft. Maybe more of those blankets. And I think Tim Gray and Scott Veenstra and all those guys, I think they, Iron Angel, linked me to some places where you could do it yourself, flame proof these kind of things. That's the thing that I'm scared about these blankets, is they're big and they probably burn for forever. So making them fire, what word am I allowed to use and not lose my channel? There's a fire keep from happening or keep from getting worse, or yeah, I don't know how to say it. You know, the thing that you put on the materials to keep them from burning real easy. Fire resistant. Okay, fire resistant is great. Thank you, Crantor 808. But it's not just that they're resistant. They can actually slow the flames down and put them out. Like, I used to have a fuel cell on one of my muscle cars that if you lit it, it would actually poof the flame out. It was crazy. And I know there's another R word that is what we used to use, but I'm not sure if you're allowed to use that word, and I'm trying not to lose any more channels. Anyways, so that's what I would do. I would get some fiberglass into those rafters and cover them somehow, but I would try to keep something from being, yeah, you say it. See, now you're going to get me busted because you even use that word. Watch what happens. But I mean, I can't help what people type on the channel. That's all right. Yeah, are you allowed to say that anymore? Or, yeah, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm sure somebody will just cut it out of my post and they'll just see how he is. You know, they'll just clip it or whatever. All right. But yeah, it's a small space. It's difficult, but I think all that packing junk you got in there, all those sleeping bags and stuff, you're probably taking down a lot of the mud. Probably the biggest problem you got is that plaster stuff, just super duper little reverb chamber you got going in there. And I don't know that you got the space to put 3 inches Roxel on either side. Well, I know it's a real word. We're talking about people who would put feelings over reality every single time. Yeah, I know they need help, but unfortunately lots of times they have power on their side, and they do things to you, like, I don't know if a lot of people know, but yeah, I lost the channel because, I showed how to make an ukulele electric for like less than $10. And we've talked about censorship on this channel before, especially when everybody is DMCAing me for my own drum samples. But anyway, I don't want to get super busted for this, but I still have my ukulele video, so you guys can all suck it. Anyway, it's a small space, and you're doing a lot of what you can. Like I say, fiberglass net rafters take even more of the mud down. But if it's that reverb that's killing you, start with those blankets. They're so cheap and they're so good. They're so amazing. Like I'm seriously blown away by just how much those blankets could do. And it like I said, it doesn't go super low, but it goes low enough for anything you're actually going to do. I mean, really. They're great. They're really great. I mean, I don't want to see U-Haul figure this out and start charging $180 a piece for their blankets. But okay, this next thing. So there's all these people talking about this Mustang Gtx 100. This is another modeling amplifier, but it was done by the new DSP guys over at Fender. I think they're the guys from either Sandy or maybe from Scottsdale. But they inherited or they hired excellent DSP guys. I mean, they had even these Mustangs, even early on, and I mean very early on, these things had harmonizers, not just pitch shifters. You tell it what key it's in, and it's there. Really good, killer. Had a lot of little stupid things like I didn't like. I was trying to use it as an FR speaker, which is wrong, and that's on my own fault. But there wasn't really a clean. And I know so many guitar players when they're saying clean, but I don't mean like an amplifier's barely distorting clean or the sound of a wet blanket over a guitar clean. I mean just clean, like nothing on it clean. Make it louder clean, or even make it turn into like acoustifier, acoustic, fake acoustic, or crank the treble and make it even super bright, but no distortion, and hopefully no mud. So that's what I mean by clean. The Mustang isn't really able to do that so well, at least the older one. So I have one right before this generation. I think it's two before this generation that I actually played live. One of the very few times I ever played live in my life, and that was the gear I was using for it. Was just that amp. And I wasn't super happy with the clean, but it's pretty good. And of course it has a speaker out, or a speak and output with the speaker simulator on it for the PA, and it works excellent. I mean, somehow our volume knob broke on mine, so I don't really use it, but I just need to order another volume knob. Remind me to do that, and then we'll take care of it. But anyway, so these guys are all talking about this amplifier, and it looks to me like they've improved a few things. I'm hoping they really fixed up the clean. So there's a something for iOS and Android for doing all the editing and stuff from your phone. I think you can still plug into the computer. I'm hoping you can, because the computer app was actually pretty good. It does have an audio interface, like you can go from the amp into the computer, but it wasn't even a real one with like a driver. It was you had to use ASIO for all if you wanted ASIO for it, but I don't even think you could return to it. I can't remember. Maybe you could, but yeah, I can't remember if it returns. But this one now comes with the foot switch. Thank you. That was so ridiculous to have to buy these stupid proprietary foot switches, which is just awful. The UI looks about the same as the old ones. But yeah, having a foot switch, thank you. Hopefully you can do some kind of wah thing or whatever. But I mean, you guys know me. I'm always on the auto wah and just how do you do this stuff. But looks pretty good. But the thing these are all saying, he's looking at this or a Tone Master Deluxe or some other stuff. But everybody's saying, I've had it and returned it. Maybe things have improved since, but it was a good product marred with flaws. App didn't work, sounds breaking up, Bluetooth connection issues, volume drops, etc., etc. I mean, this is like, remember that Firehawk from line 6? Ugh. For a bedroom, it was fine. For a gig or rehearsal, it just wasn't reliable enough. And that's the thing. If you have to rely on your phone or you're screwed, that's what I'm always worried about with this XR18, because that's kind of a scary thing. Somebody else said, yep, I had 3 GTX 100s all returned because of audio glitches. I'd also wanted to use the Fender volume pedal, but this was apparently also notoriously unreliable. Meantime, I gather these issues still exist. So this guy bought a Catalyst. I don't think that the Catalyst is a direct match. As far as I know, the Catalyst doesn't have like a real pedal available. I don't know if it has harmonizers and stuff. I don't know. The Catalyst isn't a Helix on a combo like people keep saying, or a Podgo on a combo. I'd kill for that. Are you kidding me? But no, that's not what that is at all, sadly. Line 6, for real, line 6. Put the Podgo in a combo and we're done, man. We're done. Please. Somebody else says, I like mine, but I'm not sure that I would trust it enough to take to a gig. I think it's a simple modeler for home use, and it basically has all the in-out you could need, including a stereo effects loop. Nice. Another guy says he has no qualms about gigging. So it's talk about reliability, but it looks like this thing's gonna be pretty good. And I'm so glad that they put included pedal. Hopefully it doesn't cost $100 to put your volume or wah pedal or something. I know the last one I had, it was a ridiculous ripoff to get the pedals for it, and it's silly. Shouldn't even have bothered. I used them once, you know. Anyway, here it is. I might go check one out at the store. You know, I don't really like Fender stuff, but these Mustangs are great DSP. Let's see what they have here. Do they have see, I can't really find the accessories for it. So showing some pedal, that maybe this is the same pedal. See if it's got an input. You know, the lamest thing was Fender didn't even let you use a just a regular volume pedal or whatever to plug into their, as for the wah. You had to use their special one. I don't know if this still does it. Let's see. Display screen, 1/4-inch jack. Oh, maybe this doesn't have a wah. Does the let's see, is there an expression pedal input or something then? See if we can see the back panel here. Foot switch, Bluetooth. There may not be an expression pedal on this thing. I don't know. You guys, you keep missing the mark, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand how these products get designed. Like, I think everybody knows what these guitar players out there want. And even if it's too much for some of them, the ones who don't want it will just ignore the stuff they don't want. Why I keep building these things. But seeing this, there's some like, I don't know if it's a knockoff company or whatever, but it's Nux Effects. And they have like a same kind of thing, you know, a DSP amps. There's nothing big. The biggest one is this 40 watt one, but I thought the stuff looked cool. It's let's see. My 40 BT is a 40 watt powered amplifier with 4 channels, digital effects, 3-band EQ, and tuner. Now, why would you make it 4 channels? Like, why not just put your DSP? Yeah, see, so the thing has this mighty app where it has noise gate, the different channels, modulation effects, delays, reverbs, backing tracks. Wow, see, that's fun. And why have channels? Why not just put your whole DSP on this thing? You'd have 100 channels or 2 channels. It doesn't matter. I don't understand. But this looks like it looks like cool stuff. There's a compact modeler. Who knows how much it costs, right? But where did I find it? Nux Mg. So there's like a little modeling pedal thing. Looks real small. It's got 2 pedals on it. But for all you know, it could have a ton of DSP. Looks pretty cool. But and then they have an IR loader. They have a bunch of things. Like, it's interesting. Let me see where the amplifiers. So they had there's a bunch of different effect systems, and I think they had like an IR loader. And we saw one down here, and they also had some pro audio products. So let's see what those are. They got a Guitar Direct box that looks very familiar. So, you know, who knows who these guys are, but nice to see. Okay. So finally, I want to talk about, I keep seeing these things about these amplifiers take pedals well or don't take pedals well. And it seems like any traditional amplifier, transistor tube, I don't care what, without a digital this or that, is pretty much universally agreed on by the guitar players, the cork sniffers, the sommeliers, or whatever you call them, that those all take pedals well. And I'm really trying to get an idea of what this means. Is that like the distortion pedal, if you put it in front of it, kind of has the linear or nonlinear range that you would expect from it? Does it mean like if you put a pedal in, it gets all noisy or distorted or something? Or does it mean it changes the reactance between you and the amplifier? If that's even a thing, which I think it is. Maybe it's time to reevaluate that actually. But the only thing different, I mean, you're talking about, most of the time you're talking about impedance, right? What else is going to be different between the input of on a DI or going into a digital system or the input of an amplifier in an analog amp? I mean, think about the stages. So you got your guitar going into your analog amplifier. It's pretty much going into some sort of filtering network usually, I think. You might want to get rid of some lows and something to get rid of any interference on the super high end, and then onto your amplifier stages, whatever those are. Maybe you buffer the signal first, I'm not sure. Versus an analog to digital converter. You're going in through this DI. You might have a transformer, you might not. Whether or not that makes any difference, I don't know. We've seen it both ways. Sorry. If you want to be pedantic, you can measure the effect that a transformer has on the thing. Whether or not it's going to make any difference to what you're going to hear, that's the other thing. But so after you get through there, you get into your analog to digital converter. Whatever filtering and crazy stuff you got there, you got a lot of things going on to get that signal in well so that you can get an accurate capture of what was happening at that particular point in time. Is there something about a modeled tube versus a real tube that is hurting from being putting a pedal in it versus putting a pedal in front of your amplifier or whatever? It's hard. We know how to measure impedance. Is there another parameter, some sort of reactive parameter? But that's what you model with these tubes. That's why this is so subjective so much of the time. And this is why I really want like ABX tests. But in this case, if they're really different, why are they different? What's the impedance? Can't we model impedance? So I look on the Helix hardware, and you have switches for different impedances, and you guitar players, you guys are really into these pedals and stuff. I mean, I'm a guitar player. I don't know nothing about pedals, man. But you guys who are really into these pedals, I hear that impedance matters greatly to a fuzz. So I wonder why does this Helix have an impedance thing? Is that before the analog to digital converter or after the analog to digital converter? But these are things that, I don't understand, but we understand. Science understands what impedance. We can measure it. We understand probably every parameter in here. So what really is it? And this is where I want to leave it. When we're talking about this, before we try and figure out what in the world the problem could be, could we please first establish that there's actually a problem when you're doing it as apples to apples as you possibly could. Let's start there. Let's agree. Let's find the phenomenon before we try and explain it. All right. I'll see you guys.